Hey everybody. Today I wanted to talk about patterns. So we're going to talk about patterns in math, and we're going to talk particularly about increasing and decreasing patterns. And I think this is probably something you guys have been doing for a long time, but I wanted to quickly look at it and have you guys do a little bit of practice. If you see what I've got on my screen right now, I have a pattern. I have a pattern that goes from 1 to 2 to 3, and if I wanted to write it here, I could go to my tool and I would have 1, I have 2, 3, 4, 5. So this pattern increases. This is a very, very simple pattern. And every pattern has a rule. So for instance, the pattern rule on this would be something like start at 1 and increase by 1, so that we could tell anybody what exactly was happening in this pattern if we were going to describe it. And so this is just a very easy picture pattern. You guys have probably been doing this for very many years. And it's just 1 is in the first one, 2, 3, 4. We could continue this. The next one would be 6, 7, or 8. But as long as we know that we started at 1 and we increase by 1 every time, then we could continue our pattern on as long as we needed to go. Patterns can also be pictures like this. For instance, this one here starts with 2 blocks, then 4 blocks, 6 blocks, and it increases. So, the next would be 8, 10, 12. So the pattern rule for this one would be something along the lines of start with 2 and add 2 bricks every time. This one here is just slightly different. It starts with a rectangle and it increases by 1 circle every time. So if you were going to describe this pattern, you'd say start with a rectangle and a circle and add 1 circle every time. This one at the bottom here is again different yet. This pattern starts with just 1, and then it adds 4 along the outside and 4 more along the outside. And so we could continue all of these patterns over and over and over again. And we could continue these growing patterns to get bigger and bigger as we go. There's also patterns that get smaller. These are decreasing patterns. I've got these nice little happy faces here. And if we started with, this is 10, I believe, then we have 8, 6, 4, 2, and then we don't have any more here because the pattern ends. And if we were to describe this pattern, we'd say something along the lines of start with 10 and decrease by 2 every time. And so we've got these patterns can increase like we've seen before, and they can decrease like we've seen there. Here's another instance where we've got some decreasing patterns. These people are looking at hot dogs, I think, and there's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, or in this case, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0. So both of these patterns are decreasing patterns. So I'm gonna have one thing that I want for you to do in this little activity that we're gonna do. In the Google Slides we're in right now, it says right here, use the drawing or shape tools to create an increasing or decreasing pattern. Write the rule in the box below. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to insert a shape. So I'm going to go to the insert button and I'm going to go down to shape, and I'm just going to pick a shape of some kind. Maybe I'll pick a triangle, and I'm going to draw a little triangle here. So I've drawn a triangle, and that would be one triangle. But I don't want to have, I want to have a number of those triangles. So I'm either going to right click on here and I'm going to click copy, or I could do Control C or Command C, whichever you'd like. And then I'm going to right click again and hit paste, or Control V. I'm going to make a number of these. So if I was going to draw a pattern, maybe I'm going to move these out of my way. Maybe I'd want to do an increasing pattern. Maybe I'd want a pattern that starts here and increases by 1 every time. Hopefully you guys will do something a little bit more interesting than me. We'll move this one. I like it getting lined up like that, so I'm just going to line them up. I love how Google Slides does this for us. I'm going to line up a third one. And maybe I need a few more, so I'm going to paste a few more on here. Paste. use Control V a few times. I'm going to create my pattern here. And so, oh, I need just one more. Control V. Right there. So I've used my shape tool and I've created an increasing pattern. So I'm going to write down the pattern rule down here. And my pattern rule is to start with 1 and increase by 1 every time. Easy peasy. And so that's all we're going to get you to do for this section of our activity. If you have any questions, make sure you ask, but this is probably stuff you've already covered, and I'm sure this is just review, but it is going to build and build. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys do with this. Thank you.